Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. It started like any other day at the storage auction place. People were bidding fast, yelling loud, and there was a lot of junk everywhere. But for Brandy Passante, this auction felt different. She noticed one storage unit that stood out to her. Everyone else thought it was worthless, but Brandy thought it might be worth something. When they finally opened it up, everyone on the show realized they were seeing something really amazing. Inside that dusty storage locker was stuff so rare and so valuable that the show's experts had to check and recheck the numbers. The total amount was huge, $1.2 million. But let's go back to where this all started. Brandy was born in 1980 in Harris County, Texas. She grew up with a bunch of brothers who, like she has said, liked to house with her a lot. It might sound mean, but Brandy says that crazy childhood actually made her tough and strong. She told a TV company called Lifetime that all that row housing was like training for the tough man's world she would later work in on Storage Wars. To show what she meant, she even posted an old photo of herself on X, which used to be called Twitter, showing a black eye from when she was little. For her, it was proof that being tough wasn't justness to have. It was something you had to be to survive. She even said that in her job, if the guys see that you're weak, they will try to push you around. So Brandy learned early on to stand up for herself. But her life before she was on a TV show was pretty different. During an interview on a podcast called Spirit Talk, she talked about how messy her childhood was. She said she sometimes felt like an outsider, even in her own family. She said she used to wonder if maybe she was adopted because she didn't feel like she belonged. While a lot of people just accept things the way they are, Brandy couldn't do that. Even as a kid, she felt like there was something more waiting for her somewhere else. Long before Storage Wars made her famous, Brandy had different dreams. Growing up in Houston, she actually wanted to be a chef. And even though she seems sharp and confident on the TV show, she has said that she is actually pretty shy in real life. In an interview, she laughed about how that shyness showed when she was little. Her way of dealing with it was to give people mean looks instead of talking to them. That mix of being tough on the outside, but soft on the inside stayed with her as she grew up. In a video on her Facebook page, Brandy shared that she played softball for 9 years. That shows she had that competitive streak that would help her later when bidding for storage units. Her messy, rough childhood gave her the strength she needed to do well in a job where everyone has big, loud personalities. Before she became famous, Brandy was just a normal young woman trying to make money and get by. In 1999, she was working at a company that cleaned carpets. That's where she met Jared Schulz, who would later be her partner. He was her boss, and according to Brandy, he never gave up trying to get her attention. She told a newspaper called Philippine Daily Inquirer that Jared wouldn't take no for an answer. Jared tells a totally different story though. During a live video on Facebook, he joked that Brandy was actually the one chasing him. He said she pretty much followed him around after she got hired there. He did say that dating someone who works for you isn't the smartest thing to do. He even said a friend had to leave notes on his truck telling him to be nice to her because he could be a little rough. Jared would joke about how they didn't match, saying he wasn't winning her over with his looks, so he used jokes and kept trying. But Brandy's version of the story is the complete opposite. She said that Jared was the one who kept hitting on her, and that it was more embarrassing than romantic at first. Still, all that trying worked. By any account, their beginning was like a tug-of-war between two very different people, his stubborn charm meeting her quiet strength. But in the end, no matter which version you believe, one thing is for sure. It worked out. Brandy and Jared became a couple, and from that point on, things moved really fast. Now, Brandy and Jared never got married, but they built a family together. They had 2 kids, their son Cameron and their daughter Peyton. For the most part, they kept their kids away from TV and the public eye. But Brandy has talked about some parts of their family's story, especially when family members got sick. When Brandy was on a podcast called Dad Diary, she talked about Peyton's hard start in life. When Peyton was born, she couldn't hear and had something wrong with the roof of her mouth. When she was only 6 weeks old, she had her first surgery, and thankfully it fixed her hearing. After the surgery, Peyton had a little trouble talking, so she went to speech class for years. Brandy said that when Peyton joined the cheerleading team at school later on, it helped her talk better and made her feel better about herself too. Cameron had his own scary health problem. When doctors checked him for a problem with his body, they found something wrong on his kidney. That meant months of going to the doctor a lot and watching to see if it got worse. His symptoms did get worse, so he had to spend a long time in the hospital. Brandy remembered staying with him for 3 months at Children's Hospital in Orange County. Those 3 months meant he couldn't go to high school, but he showed how strong he was. Even though Brandy loved being a mom, she found out pretty fast that staying home all day wasn't right for her. In an interview, she said that even though she loved her kids, being at home made her feel alone and sad. She believed that going to work actually made her a better parent. Jared got a job working with mortgages, while Brandy stayed home with the kids. But then a big problem happened in the late 2000s called a recession. Suddenly, Jared lost his job and couldn't get help money from the government. Like he told a newspaper called Orange County Register, he said, finding a new job was really hard. Then something lucky happened. Jared's aunt managed a storage building. She told him about auctions where they sell storage units that people didn't pay for. This gave Jared an idea. Soon Jared and Brandy started going to those auctions, bidding on storage units, and selling anything good they found. Before long, their house was packed with all the stuff they bought. Brandy even joked that their house was almost like a place where hoarders live. That's when they decided to take all that stuff and use it to open a thrift shop. When the shop first opened, Brandy worked part of the day, splitting her time between working at the store, helping in her kids' classrooms, and being at home. The business started doing better, and the couple kept going to auctions. This choice would change everything for them. One day at an auction, Jared talked to a guy who made TV shows. This guy was working on a new show idea about storage auctions. Months later, that same guy called them up and brought a camera crew to their store. Brandy happened to be there that day, and the people with cameras thought she was great. According to Jared, the producer asked who she was and if she would feel okay being on camera. That little bit of video became part of a test version for a new show called Storage Wars. At the time, they had no clue how huge this show would become. Brandy later told a newspaper called Saline Courier that they didn't think much of it. They just said yes to filming a few minutes because it seemed fun. But that one simple choice opened the door to being famous on TV. They worked so well together and were always joking around, so they were perfect for a TV show. On the show, people started calling them the Young Guns because they were a team known for lots of energy and friendly fights. Brandy became the one who thought things through, which balanced out Jared's habit of spending too much money and taking big chances. Fans loved how they worked together, the quick comebacks, the funny arguments, and how they were so different but still worked great. It didn't take long before fans really loved them. This happened especially after one amazing early win. In the first season, they took a big risk and spent $1,700 on a storage unit. When they opened it up, they found treasure. There were old toys and action figures worth almost $2,800. It was the kind of win every person bidding dreams about. But while all that was happening, things started to go wrong with the show. A cast member named Dave Hester started saying that maybe the show wasn't real. By 2012, he got so upset that he actually went to court. He sued the TV network and the company that made the show. Hester said that the showmakers were changing things to make it more exciting. He said they would put valuable stuff in storage units to make the finds look even better. He pointed to specific times, like when he supposedly found old papers about when Elvis Presley died, or a small BMW car hidden under lots of trash. He thought those discoveries were too perfect to be real. In court, Hester said the show wasn't just changed a little bit. He said the whole thing was made up. He said the people who made the show were writing what people said, pretending auctions were real, and even paying for storage units when the stars didn't have enough money. And that wasn't even everything. He said the producers even paid for one of the female cast members to get plastic surgery to look better on the show. Newspapers quickly blamed that on Brandy Passante. They pointed out that she lost weight and wore different clothes between seasons. But Brandy said that wasn't true. When someone asked if her breasts were fake, she said no in a rude way, and that was it. She also laughed off weird stories on the internet about her being a dancer at a club or having something weird with her toes. She thought the crazy stuff people said online was just part of being famous on TV. When people asked if the show was real, Brandy was very clear. Storage Wars is real, she said. She explained that since storage auctions happen in public, it would be against the law to cheat. The only thing that's pretend, she said, is how they edit it. The show focuses on the amazing storage units, not the boring ones. Like she said, not every unit has great stuff in it, but that's just how the business really is. But Hester's claims caused a big problem. The TV network wasn't happy about being told the show was fake when it was one of the biggest shows on TV. It was even more popular than another huge show called Duck Dynasty. So the network got rid of Hester and didn't say anything about the lawsuit at first. When they finally did talk about it, they said the show was real and that they didn't cheat. They said everything people saw was real. But then the TV network's lawyers said something a little different. Instead of saying it was totally real, they said that TV show makers can do whatever they want because of the First Amendment. Their lawyers even said that only game shows have to be 100% real. They said Storage Wars wasn't a game show. The guy who came up with Storage Wars, Tom Beers, later admitted they do write about half of what people hear on the show. He also said they sometimes put together the best finds from different units to keep people interested. After all, he said, nobody wants to watch hours and hours of people looking through piles of junk. The goal was to make a good TV show, not a movie about real life. Finally, the court made a decision. A judge said that some of Hester's claims didn't have merit, but said he could keep his case that he was wrongly fired. He was asking for $750,000 because he lost his job for speaking up. The TV network said no and said that the choices they made for the show were protected by the law. In the end, both sides made a deal and stopped fighting. It was a surprise, but there didn't seem to be any anger between them. The deal even meant that Dave Hester could come back on the show. But fans didn't know that the court fight was nothing compared to what was about to happen. In the fall of 2012, things got really bad for Brandi. All of a sudden, pictures and a video of a woman who looked like Brandi started showing up on an adult website. The problem was, it wasn't really her. But the people running the website didn't care. They said the woman was the star of Storage Wars. The whole thing started with a guy named Hunter Moore. In the early 2010s, Moore's website called Is-An-One-Up was famous for putting up pictures and videos of real people without asking them, which was really bad for anyone it happened to. He even got kicked off Facebook for taking people's profile pictures and connecting them to adult stuff. When Facebook wouldn't let him do that anymore, he just moved to Tumblr and Twitter and posted the fake video there. He said it showed Brandy Passante. Brandi found out about it when lots of people started sending her messages on Twitter. Right away, she said the video was fake, but that didn't stop people from sharing it. Later, she said the whole thing scared her. Her biggest worry was that her family might find the video online. She decided she had to fight back. Brandi went to court and sued Moore. She said he destroyed her good name, invaded her privacy, and tricked people. In the court papers, Brandi talked about how shocked and embarrassed she was. She said she never made that video and never even met Moore. He made the fake video just to use her fame to get people to visit his website. She asked the court to give her $2.5 million. But even though she won the case, the court only gave her $750. It felt like she won, but also lost at the same time. And it got even worse. After losing in court, Moore made fun of her on social media. It showed he didn't learn anything from losing the case. It wasn't the only time that people said bad things about how Brandi looked. Lots of fans pointed out that people online said mean things about her appearance all the time. Sometimes it even happened on the TV show itself. One really uncomfortable time was when another cast member named Barry Weiss made a joke that wasn't appropriate. He said he liked to dip cigars in brandy. On the surface it sounded like just a regular joke, but most people thought he was making a gross joke using Brandi's name. People talked about that moment on websites like Reddit a lot. They couldn't stop talking about how upset Brandi looked and said that what Barry said was wrong. Even years later, people still bring up that video. It's a reminder that women who are famous have to deal with way more mean stuff than people realize. But there was more dark and weird stuff that the show would find. One of the scariest things that happened on the entire show came during season 5, episode 5 of the A&E reality show. Brandi opened Asteroid's unit that was so weird and creepy that she almost didn't want to touch anything inside. Right away, something strange showed up. A skull of a deer, and it wasn't fake. It had beads wrapped around its horns in a ritual kind of way. That set a spooky mood from the very start. Even with all that, another cast member named Zach Carter couldn't help joking around. He picked up an old corn cob that was lying next to the skull and pretended to eat it. Brandi's reaction said it all. She didn't want any of it in her shop. But that wasn't even close to the end. As they looked deeper, they found even more disturbing stuff. There was a bag full of chicken bones that had been preserved, another bag that seemed to have human hair in it, and a weird rattle made from bird beaks. The most shocking thing was a wooden stick carved with a picture of a man wearing a chicken on his head. Brandi couldn't help but ask, out loud, if it was the kind of thing a chief would hold if he was doing a sacrifice. But everyone hoped that wasn't the case. Even though the collection was creepy, Brandi and Jared still wanted to buy the storage unit. They paid $900 for it, and somehow made money from it anyway. But you have to wonder what happened to that weird stick. Then came another shocking moment. It mixed scary stuff with not being able to believe what they were seeing. Jared ran into Brandi by accident while looking through another storage unit. That made her fall down and find something from a bad dream, a box full of human teeth. Jared tried to stay calm. He guessed they were new fake teeth from a dentist. But Brandi said no, she thought they were real individual teeth. In the end, they were both right. The team took the gross fine to a school for dental work, where experts said it was really a bunch of old fake teeth. Many years ago, individual teeth were stuck to fake teeth using medical glue. Even though they were old and rare, the collection was only worth around $300. That's not much money for finding something so gross. But there was even more weird stuff. In Season 6, Episode 2, Jared found what might be the strangest storage unit yet. It had a huge toy that you could ride in. It was a My Little Pony plush toy. It wasn't really the toy itself that made people raise their eyebrows. It was what it said about who owned it before. Brandi pointed out that there are movies about grown men who collect My Little Pony toys. They're called bronies. But Jared didn't believe that at first. But his disbelief didn't last very long. While Brandi played around and tried to keep the huge pink pony for herself, Jared found the real treasure. There was a giant box packed with My Little Pony toys and stuff, hundreds of them. This storage unit belonged to someone who really loved My Little Pony. And then came the discovery that could scare anyone. In Season 8, Episode 18, which was called Bison Dolls, Brandi and Jared found a doll that looked like it came from a scary movie. It had skin falling off, dead-looking eyes, and something about it just screamed that it was haunted. Of course, Jared thought it was funny to scare Brandi. He made the doll talk in a scary voice until Brandi was really freaked out. When they took it to a guy called Dr. Tony who fixes dolls, he had news. It was funny and sad at the same time. The scary-looking doll was only worth about $50 at the most. Brandi decided the best thing to do was give it to her dogs to play with and chew on. When people ask her what her favorite find has been, Brandi gives a simple answer. During an interview on a podcast called Happening Now with Hammer Newport Beach, she said she cares more about practical things than fancy owns. For her, the best finds are the ones you can sell quickly and make money from.